If Subaru's story has ever felt unfair to you, it's probably not just because he keeps dying. Here is the actual question underneath it. If you could relive your exact life again, every good part and every terrible part included, would you actually say yes? Most people never have to think about that seriously, because nobody's ever really making them choose. Subaru doesn't get that luxury. Every time he dies, he's basically being handed that exact choice again, whether he wants it or not. And for a long time, I just read his power as a straightforward curse and didn't think much more about it. But once I actually sat with what the loop does to him specifically, it changed how I read pretty much every death scene after that. So in this video, I want to get into whether Subaru would actually choose to relive pain he's already survived over risking a future that could be worse, why he never actually gets a real say in any of it, and why being the only person who remembers means he's carrying every relationship he has completely alone. There's an old philosophy question that gets at exactly this. A philosopher named Nietzsche once asked people to imagine a demon telling them their exact life. Every detail, joy, and failure is going to happen again identically forever. His actual point wasn't whether that's literally true, it was a test. If the idea horrifies you, that tells you something real about whether you actually love the life you're living. So let's actually run that test on Subaru for a second. Imagine he genuinely had the option right now to walk away from all of it, go home back to his real family, and real life before any of this ever happened. No more dying or losing everyone he loves over and over. The obvious answer feels easy, right? Of course he would take it, who wouldn't? Except here is the part that actually complicates it. Going home means stepping into a life he knows nothing about anymore. He has no idea what's waiting for him there. He could get sick, he could get hit by a car crossing the street. He genuinely has no way of knowing if that life is actually safer or just unknown. Meanwhile, everything he has already survived, he's already survived. He knows exactly what he's up against here because he has lived through it over and over and come out the other side each time. That's the actual trap underneath the obvious answer. It's not really would you want to relive your pain, it's whether you would trade the suffering you have already survived for a future you have zero guarantee is any better. That gamble only matters if Subaru actually gets a real say in it, and he doesn't. There is no demon offering him a choice, no moment where he gets to sit somewhere safe and consider how he feels about it. There is basically no exit anywhere in this story. No going home or no permanent way out, nothing. He just wakes up back at the start, forced to live through it again, with no version of this that ever asked for his consent. That forced repetition doesn't just cost him time, it costs him something closer to falling apart, and here's exactly what that looks like on screen. There is a stretch later in the story where Subaru loses his memories trying to climb a tower, failing the same way over and over. By the end of it, he has stopped trusting the people around him and all he wants is to go back to his real family and never deal with any of this again. Even though that was never actually an option to begin with, like in one particular scene. Him walking up the tower stairs, completely unraveling and repeating that he's going to kill everyone, and the camera deliberately keeps his eyes out of the frame. You only see his mouth. That's the show telling you visually what falling apart looks like from the outside, right? In the book or novel, you would just have it described, but in the anime, you gotta pay attention not just to what is being said, but also to the visuals and sound effects. So that's what happens on the surface where you can actually see it. But there is a second cause running underneath all of it, one the show barely says out loud. It's about what he has forced to carry permanently in every relationship he has from that point on. Subaru is the only person carrying every version of every relationship he has ever had. Everyone around him only remembers the one version of events that actually happened. He remembers all of them. Every failed attempt, every death, every convo that got erased for everyone except him. Think about how strange that actually is. Imagine your grandmother has memory loss and you're the only one who remembers a convo you both had that genuinely mattered to you, and she has no idea it ever happened. Now, imagine living every relationship in your life exactly like that, permanently. That's the actual cost underneath all of it, even if the show mostly treats it as a plot device on the surface. And I don't think he's weak. I think it's because nobody forced into that gamble without a choice ever really gets to answer it honestly. The show just keeps making him try anyway, every single time, without ever calling it a choice. So that's the question underneath all of it. Not would you relive your life exactly as it was? It's what happens to someone forced to gamble on that question over and over without ever being allowed to say no. Thanks for watching, see you in the next one.